Hi, my name is Jeff Lindsay, one of the authors of Conquering Innovation Fatigue, a new book from John Wiley & Sons with co-authors Cheryl Perkins and Mukund Karanjikar. Yesterday we discussed the chilling effect that management can have occasionally on their innovation community. We used the metaphor of some water with its free-flowing innovative qualities, and I had the water in a glass bowl. And now, what happened yesterday was I reached into this water, demonstrating this chilling effect, and showed that management, by squeezing too hard on the innovation community, trying to maximize productivity and using high-pressure tactics, can sometimes have the unintended effect of chilling or putting a freeze on innovation. And that can result in not the free-flowing water that is so essential for success, but a much colder, icier fate for the innovation community. Squeezing, unintended consequence, freezing things up. This chilling effect is to be avoided. Well, people said, hey, that's not possible. You can't squeeze water and turn it into something solid. Like all magicians, I cheated. Now, a good, ethical, high-quality magician will never reveal how a magic trick works. So here's how it works. This is not ordinary water. As you may have noticed from some of the frost on the bottle when I began, it's very cold water, but not ordinary water. It is salt water. Now, if you've had chemical thermodynamics as a good chemical engineer or chemist, you would know that salt lowers the freezing point of water. And by adding salt to water, you can make it much colder than normal without it freezing up. Then if you take that salt water and remove the salt, suddenly it can be so cold it freezes instantaneously. Very simple. Now the question you're going to ask next, I can just anticipate the email, how do you get the salt out of the salt water? Well, it's a desalination technique. Desalination, removing salt. There are several ways you can get salt out of salt water. One of the most common high-tech solutions is reverse osmosis. Now, these high-tech solutions that are used by big desalination companies involve all sorts of expensive materials and membranes and electronic processing. Very expensive, very difficult to do. If you can find a way to do that that's low-tech, simple, inexpensive, it may not be as good, but it can give you a competitive edge. And this is getting to the heart of disruptive innovation, where a low-tech or worse solution that offers new advantages such as low cost or portable ease of use, when this low-tech solution can overtake established incumbents who get caught off guard. Think of those poor companies that are making expensive desalination techniques. How would they compete if I was able to come up with a low-cost innovation that allowed you to desalinate water by hand so that anybody can do it? Well, that's actually what I have here. It's a digital technology, and I've got my digits ready to go. We're going to use 4 or 5 of them for this technique. And what you do, it sounds like a lot of hand waving. In fact, it actually is. You wave your hand, wave, wave, wave. See that? Now this digital motion, where I'm moving my fingers around, creates some interesting nanostructures momentarily in the water. In fact, we call this digital nano reverse entropic disaggregation, excuse me. And you do this a little bit, and pretty soon you grab a handful of water, just like that. Now that handful of water is being squeezed and pressurized to remove the water, leaving you with what? The salt. Let's see if that worked. I hope you can see that. We have just removed the salt from the salt water. When the temperature was low enough, removing the salt from the salt water leaves you with very cold, regular water. If it's below the freezing point, bingo, you've got ice. A disruptive technology before your very eyes. And I'll tell you, if only that were true, we'd be off to a really good start with our own innovations here at innovationfatigue.com. Thank you. Oh, I should tell you that we have a whole chapter on disruptive innovation in the book where we talk about the well-known, well-documented conundrum of disruptive innovation that Clayton Christensen of the Harvard School of Business documents so well in his marvelous books on the topic. The problem is disruptive innovation tends to get killed within corporations or ignored within corporations that are at risk. And how do you deal with that? One of the techniques we offer, and I think it's a potential theoretical advance in this field, is the use of intellectual assets to lay a foundation and get around some of the circuit breakers or fatigue factors in the corporation, the filters of the corporation that tend to kill consideration of disruptive innovation. You don't have to convince a whole company to jump on board with your disruptive innovation. You just need to convince a patent review committee to lay a foundation with some intellectual assets. Low-cost assets like defensive publications combined with some prophetic and proactive and visionary patents. Laying a foundation, doing it in the name of protecting or mitigating threats, but secretly or obtusely laying a foundation for future launches in that area once the corporation later realizes the value of this disruptive area. Normally they would realize it when it's too late, but if you've laid the foundation with good intellectual assets, you may be just in time. Read the chapter on disruptive innovation in the book and see what you think. Give us some feedback at innovationfatigue.com. Thank you. This is Jeff Lindsay on August 17th, 2009.